making the victory lap here with our boy Big T. Massive takedown PGA last night. Shipped the Millie.
The Twins got the job done for our boy Hoop. Won him $100K. Won him a live final seat.
JSU shipped $200K on, I think, just $1,000 worth of entries. He had a monster night.
Anytime we see members crush like this, we're excited.
Last night, one of our most loyal subscribers from the beginning, Jay Love, took down $20K.
I want to give a shout out to Redmen, who won over $50,000 on opening day.
Blind Bandit took down the $100,000 top prize.
We had someone win a live final seat.
It was one of those days where it's like going 5x or 10x on your money. It wasn't enough to get enough love in the Discord.
Record 62 took down the Millie Maker.
I don't even know if this heater is ever going to end.
Some of these other sites are just boring you to death.
I like how other sites nickel and dime you for every penny they can get.
Tons of the members have given tickets and membership on their own. Like, we're not telling them to do that. They're just doing it for good mojo.
You love to see it. We love the good mojo. And
The mojo is what the mojo is. I give you credit for still having that happen. We appreciate it.
Wait till we ship tonight. I might never take it off.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Wednesday Swing for the Fences shows. I'm with G Rison. I'm with Mangone. We're coming off another monster night yesterday, and what a night it was to have a big night for the crew. 3 people in the top 10 in the $2,500 Millie Maker. Big T, I think, was right outside of it as well. Hoop took down a live final ticket. We'll get to all that soon, but it was a great night over here. If you listen to the free or premium show, you guys knew we were on the Washington and Philly game stack. Needed Blake Snell, the Giolito injury. You had to avoid that to really win all the cheese and the bigger stuff, but a very, very good over RPS, a lot of members, big hits. And if you had a win, congratulations, but you can't get too highs on the highs and too lows on the lows in DFS. That's part of it. So we'll move on to this slate. We'll talk about that a little bit, but this slate's a good slate. 9 games, no weather that we had to talk about now. We've had 2 postponements. So 11 games gone down to 9 games, good pitching up top again. Some good hitting spots we'll get into, but got to bring in my boys, G Rison, man. Going, G Rison, I'll go to you. How was your Wednesday, Ben? And I saw you had a pretty good night yesterday as well, so talk about that.
Yeah, I didn't have a bad night. My cores last night where I had Philly and the White Sox with Snell, so that worked out pretty well for me. I came in the top 10 in quite a few of the smaller single entry tournaments, which was a very good night for me. I saw a couple other RPS guys that were a little ahead of me, which is fine. If I can't win, it's always good to see an RPS member post up there and ship a tournament. So yeah, good to see Hoop shipped him a DK seat. So RPS going to be well represented out there at that live final. So yeah, it's good things happening. Had a normal Wednesday, just kind of hung around, did a little bit of the no fun job. Had a couple, started drinking some Modelo's, getting ready for the show and get ready for the slate. And was looking forward to breaking it down with you guys. I think it's a pretty tough little slate we got tonight.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of ways to go. I'm excited to talk about it. G Rison with a couple Modelo's in him always gives a couple more winners. So excited to hear that. Mangone, I'll throw it over to you. How was your Wednesday? You had a ticket in the 200 or in the 2,500 as well. How did you do in that? And yeah, talk about the slate a little bit. You said before you came on, it is very tough slate, lots of ways to go. So how was your Wednesday?
Yeah, lots of ways to go. Good day for RPS. So I was happy. I wasn't happy about my entry, but it's okay. I had a White Sox stack and I had a nice little setup, right? A lot of the games were quiet. The White Sox started booming early. And then I had Tyon over like Woodruff and over Snell. And I mean, you know how that happens, right? I had a 6% guy over a 50% guy, which it's okay. Like happens. Taillon looked great to start too. That was the worst part. Like, he looked amazing, and then he just absolutely fell apart. So, hey, it is what it is. Team didn't work out, but that's okay. I liked my team. I liked the construction. I liked the path you guys were on too. I mean, overall, it was a loaded slate. When you only got one bullet in there, that's what happened. So excited for this slate, though. It's definitely not the easiest slate in the world, but I'm excited to break it down with you guys and really dive into it.
Yep, absolutely. We appreciate everyone hanging out with us in chat. If you could hit the like and subscribe button for us, we do greatly appreciate that. We got Brian K in chat, Steve Anthony, Dante, Stephen Coy, Glock, Caesar, bunch of guys hanging out with us. We do appreciate it. And then someone said in chat, I thought they canceled the Nats Phillies game. Yes, that was one of the games today that was canceled. We were talking yesterday how the game stacked work, but today that game is canceled along with the Mets game. So 11 games down to 9. Now there is no weather concerns to worry about. If you haven't signed up, use a promo code RPS NFL 15. That gets you 15% off your monthly subscription for life, which will be ending next week. So make sure to hop in. NFL right around the corner. Tons of big prize pools, and we'll give you the edge against the fish. I mean, NFL, so many fish out there since the prize pools are so big. We'll give you the edge you need to get to the top of the leaderboards. And talk about top of the leaderboards yesterday in our members never win segment, since we obviously know that isn't very true. We had a couple coordinators wins, couple members wins, but we'll start it off with our man Hoop. He was on the show yesterday. He talked about his love for the Phillies and Nats game stack as well. He liked Blake Snell a lot. 153,000 for Hoop over on DraftKings. The heater absolutely is real. He gets a live final seat as well, so he's going to be joining the boys, Big T, Hoop, JSU, and a couple other members next week in Philadelphia. So big congrats to Hoop. He was on the show, broke it down, gave the winners out as well. So you always do love to see that. And then after that, Tambo, $17,000. I believe it actually might have been a little more. I know on DraftKings, 17,000. He had 8th place in the 2,500. Then he also had a big win on FanDuel as well. I don't know if it was 10, 20,000. I can't remember, but he tied for 3rd in a big contest as well. So what a big night for Tambo. He made his debut on the premium show yesterday, talked about Woodruff, hopped on the Nats Philly game stack as well. So congrats to Tambo. And he's making his golf debut show later with Big T tonight and Uncle T. So make sure you do check that out. And then another big win, our guy Lycan 888. He won $40,000 in the contest. He was right below Hoop. He was very live with the Yankee stack. I see him in chat. Congrats to you, Lycan. Awesome stuff. Almost the big one, but never will complain about 40,000. And then Hugo Tigers. He won 5,000 over on FanDuel. Took first place down in the MLB Keystone tournament. You see G Rising sitting there in 4th place as well with a nice 1,000. But congrats to you, go you Tigers, 5,000, way to take it down. Then you go over to tennis. Tennis has absolutely been smashing with Susie and Matty Ice. Tay Rosa won $10,000. I feel like I say Tay Rosa's name almost every other day on this show. Absolutely been smashing golf from the content. Congrats to you. And then DGas 33, been a longtime member at RPS, always grinding every sport, it seems pretty much. $25,000 first place. DGas 33. Congrats to you. Longtime member, like I said, just absolutely putting in the work and showing off with the $25,000. That's the stuff you love to see. I mean, grinding all the sports, that's what you get at RPS. One flat fee. You can play NASCAR, League of Legends, tennis, college football is coming up. Had it last week. MMA, you name the sport, we have content for it. You really do love to see it. Mangone, anything you got to say? I mean, obviously, Hoop, the heater is just absolutely unreal, but all the other wins, the members, it's really good to see.
Yeah, you absolutely love to see it. Tambo debuted on the show, right? He hopped on. He was talking to the process, talking about the lineup. And if you were tuning in that premium show, the Run Pure Sports one, of course, you guys gave it out on the free show. But, you get to get a little bit of a deeper dive and process of what some of our guys are doing and some of the core plays that they're on. So that's an awesome thing to be able to watch. So if you're not signed up at Run Pure Sports, use the code RPS NFL 15, get you 15% off, and you can listen to the winners from some of the best in the industry.
Yep, absolutely. Lycan's in chat. He's saying fun sweat last night. Imagine run as good as Hoop. Tambo must have been the good luck. Yep, good to see you in the chat. All the members. I mean, there was a lot more screenshots than just those two. So congrats to the winners. And like I said earlier, if you won, you can't get too highs on your wins, too highs on your high in DFS. If you lost, you can't get too lows on your lows. That's why you stick with good bankroll management. There's always another day in DFS. But we got a good MLB slate right now. G Rising, give us a little breakdown on how you see the slate, because pitching is absolutely loaded up top. with Garrett Cole, Max Scherzer, Sale. So a lot of good options, some good options on DraftKings too, going all the way down. So just give your overview. I know you're more on FanDuel. What are you looking at this slate?
Yeah, I think it's a tough overall slate actually on FanDuel. I'm just glad I only got to pick one pitcher for one. The pricing actually seems to be priced up where it's actually kind of tough to take some of these teams that are in really good spots and stack them up with a high-end pitcher. So I've been having really hard time coming across a team that I really like, especially stacking it up tournament style 4-4 or 4-3. I just haven't really found too much that I like. I kind of feel like I'm reaching in spots. But I just, at this point, I don't know if I'm willing to peel off these high-end pitchers. If Cole or Max or one of these guys throws up a 60 burger on FanDuel, you're gonna have one of these guys. So it's gonna be tough. I think I'm gonna have to find a bottom part of a lineup that I really like, that I'm gonna be able to stack up with the team that I like. So I think I got a couple ideas in mind, but I was kind of wanting to see what you guys say, bounce some things off you guys. But yeah, so far I'm kind of up on top. I'm pitching. So yeah, I'm kind of trying to figure out some ways to put some bats together, correlate some stacks, and hopefully get on top of a tournament. But yeah, I think there's a couple teams in some good spots tonight. Some teams I'm willing just to wipe off the map. But I think I'm gonna have pretty condensed pitcher pool tonight, and then I think I'm gonna spread out some bats. But I got to find them cheap winners tonight. So hopefully we can figure that out before we get off the show tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, a lot of good pitchers up top, 5 teams with a total above 5. So we'll dive into it. But first, 300 watching, 95 likes. We appreciate everyone hanging out. If you guys could hit that like and subscribe button, greatly appreciated. Then we got someone in chat, Jim Steele. He said, just signed up, brand new member here. Welcome to the squad. We love to see it. Make sure you do get in Discord. I know you said you're waiting on the message back, but you should get that soon. Discord is my favorite part of RPS for sure. I love playbooks, love all these shows, but Discord nonstop, people asking questions. And someone yesterday, I wanted another good point, kind of off topic, but he was in 3rd place, and the 2 people above him had, I believe it was Woodruff, and 2 people above him had Woodruff. He pivoted to Charlie Morton because he knew that he couldn't take 1st place without with Woodruff. He was blocked off. And I responded very, very sharp. He did it on his own, but that was something very important that we don't talk too much on these shows about it. When the time comes up, we do, but stuff like that, we didn't even help him do that in the Discord this time, but he let other people know. And that opens eyes to people. And that's, Gone, I know you do that all the time. I do that in cash games, especially when you're blocked off, or if you need a pivot off a chalk tournaments, if you can't take 1st place. And it's led to multiple, 5-figure, 6-figure changes when people do that. So I wanted to bring that up. And I know it's a big thing in your process, because you can't just log off at 6 o'clock or to 7 o'clock on the East Coast when lock happens. You have to be looking at the standings, looking at other teams, and making those pivots. So I wanted to bring that up. I know you do the same thing.
Yeah, making the pivots is great. How much did he get from it? I wasn't listening because I was responding back to Jay Steele, because I already sent you a message, Jay Steele. It's back on you. I sent you one. I sent you a second one just to make sure you get another notification. So send it back to me. If you're having trouble getting in the Discord, just send me a screenshot. I'll tell you what needs to be fixed, and then I'll get that moving for you. So what was the difference title?
No, yeah, I don't know if how much it ended up making him, or if he got above the thing, but I just thought it was a good point to make on a show, because we probably have new people playing DFS who just started dabbling. We've had professional or people that do it full time, that do it all the time, but stuff like that isn't talked about a lot in the industry. Where 2 people, he was in 3rd place in the tournament. The 2 people above him, he knew had Brandon Woodruff, so he had Woodruff and he couldn't ship without it, so he dropped down to Charlie Morton and saved the salary. I gave him a shot to be live in it, to take a tournament down. And that's just something a lot of people don't do. Cash games too. If you know you're blocked off in the head-to-head or something, you have to, basically the point was, the lock doesn't lock at 6 or 7 o'clock. And we're in Discord. People can ask questions throughout the whole night, compare lineups and stuff, and give you an edge that way. So I know that's something you do a lot, something I do, and something that's very important in DFS that people don't always think of.
Yeah, just to give you a heads up, I had that the other day. There was this one Philadelphia Phillies combo, and this happens a lot when on FanDuel, when you pay for Robbie Ray, right? And if you had the Phillies, I was on a combo, and with it being a late slate, the Padres were a team that was getting owned, and so were the Dodgers. So I was like kind of monitoring, and I had a Dodger stack, and I was like, I already looked at some combos, and I said, I'm either playing Muncy or Mookie Betts. I didn't know which one I was going to play in my 4-man Dodger stack, but I noticed 8 people were on the same team as me. And then I noticed once the Padres game locked, okay, about like 5 of them were Padres stacks, so I'm fine. Now 3 people have the same lineup as me with the Dodgers. And then I looked around, I said, well, this one guy has a second baseman available, so I know he's going Muncy. So if I go Muncy in my utility, I have the same as this guy. Now, this other guy might not have that same combo, so I'll go different. I went Mookie Betts instead. And of course, Muncy hits a home run, and I was like, oh, great, I made the wrong swap. But then Mookie hits the home run, and I was fine. So it didn't really end up mattering too much. But at the end of the day, the decision between Muncy and Mookie Betts is basically a coin flip, right? Now, if the decision was, I don't know, Billy McKinney or Mookie Betts, I'm probably going to go Mookie Betts, right? I mean, that's just very simple. But when it's a coin flip like that, and if you're on the same exact combo as someone, it's fine to just make that switch to give yourself a chance at that top prize.
Yeah, it's just something I wanted to point out. I mean, you play tournaments, you play for first. Tournaments are so top heavy nowadays. You want that first place, or 50K could be first, third could be 15K. Like, you make a switch, a close one, if a Woodruff to Morton like he did for that extra 35K. That's the stuff you can find in Discord too. Not that we even helped him yesterday. He did that on his own, but he announced it and made me think of it. But enough of that talking. Hopefully it's someone in this chat, 342 watching. I think that could have helped someone, whether you're new, experienced, just something to look at. Your slate doesn't lock right at 6 o'clock when the first game locks, but we'll go on. We'll talk about pitching on this slate. And yeah, we talked about it earlier. It is loaded up top. Max Scherzer, 10.9K, Chris Sale, 10.4, Carlos Rodon, 10.1, Garrett Cole, 9.9. Those are the clear top 4 arms on this slate. What stands out, Garrett Cole, I think he's going to be the most popular, 9.9K. He gets the best matchup between him and Scherzer. He gets the best matchup against the Angels. Chris Sale still on a little pitch count concern. So I think he's a tier below, at least in cash games. I can't feel as safe with Sales. I can Scherzer and Cole because of their leash, but Chris Sale's been absolutely dominant. However, Tampa, I mean, this lineup, they're definitely hitting they're hot, hitting the baseball well, but Chris Sale's been dominant. I think he's pretty interesting tournaments. We can talk about him, Mangone. Carlos Rodon gets Pittsburgh. He gets the best matchup out of the 4, but Max Scherzer and Garrett Cole has definitely been more dominant. And I'm also a little concerned about his pitch count as well. So I think it's Cole and Scherzer up top clearly, but I think the ownership's going to go there. Mangone, how do you see the top tier, and are there any pivots up there at top?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the top for me, it's clearly the best 2 are Scherzer and Cole. Now the question is, do you just jam in both? Do you just play one? Cole's obviously cheaper at 9.9, so that I think naturally he's going to get more ownership than Scherzer. You could make a case for Rodon, but I just think it's simple. For me, I'm going to keep it really easy at the top. I'm either playing Scherzer, I'm either playing Cole, or I'm playing both. I think this is simply how I'm doing it today. Now, of course, you can make arguments for Rodon as a pivot or Sale. I get it, but I just think that they're not as great of plays as the other ones. You mentioned the Sale thing and the pitch count. Rodon, I don't think is in the most amazing spot in the world. And the White Sox, man, I know Giolito got hurt last night, but I could see the White Sox just not really like pushing their pitchers as much, where you got a guy like Garrett Cole who is in a big playoff race, right? I mean, they're trying to still fight and get in there. I feel like the White Sox, they're just going to kind of coast a little bit in September. The Dodgers, they got to push the pedal a little bit. So I think those two are 2 teams that I'm going to be targeting, right? I'm going to be targeting the Dodgers at pitcher. I'm going to be targeting Garrett Cole. And those are the 2 guys at the top that I'm really going to look to. You can make a case for Caprillion in the mid tier because I know the Tigers strike out a ton against righties and it is a good park for pitching. But I just think at the top, I'm going to those 2 guys. And then I am going to look at some guys at the bottom as well.
Yeah, we'll get to the bottom because there definitely are some guys that stand out. Let me get your thoughts on Kevin Gausman, though, because he's a good real-life pitcher. He's had a very good 25% strikeout rate. The Brewers do strike out a little bit. Pitchers Park in San Fran has pretty good win equity, too. And he's 8.7K, so you get over $1,000 savings, $1,000 plus, over $2,000 for Max Scherzer. He gets the Brewers. I expect him to be lower owned. So what are your thoughts on him? Because I think he's an interesting tournament pivot that should be over half less ownership from Cole and Scherzer.
Yeah, I just don't think I want to target the Brewers, right? Like, I get what you're doing with Gausman. I just don't think it's necessary to do on this slate. So I'm just not really that interested. Now, the argument you can make for it is bats are not the easiest to slam in there today, right? Like if you do go the top 2 in arms, right? If you go like a Max Scherzer and a Garrett Cole, you're not able just to slam in like the easiest stacks in the world. So I do think that there is merit to going down to a guy like a Gaussman, but I want to go even lower, right? Like I think that's kind of the approach that I'm taking. If I am going to go down, I'm going to go down really low. And the reason why is I like some options down there. And also I want to get into bats too, right? I think that's the route that I would take to go that way. If you do happen to have a combo of like a Garrett Cole and a Gaussman that you like, I wouldn't tell you not to do it, but it's not a route that I'm going on this slate. It's just not for me.
Yep, that definitely makes sense. I have a little more interest. Steve Anthony said like it's going to be mid-50s in San Francisco too. So a little interest for me, but we'll go over to you, G Rison. You're more of a FanDuel player, so that works out. We'll get the DraftKings from Mangone, FanDuel for you, and I'll mix in both. But I mean, FanDuel, we talked about it all year, how they've priced pitchers more correctly than DraftKings has. And Scherzer's 11.5, Garrett Cole's 11.2, and then Chris Sale's 10.5 and Rodon's 10.2. So I think that's appropriate pricing. I still prefer Scherzer and Cole over Sale and Rodon for the pitch counts and the safety. Like we mentioned earlier, especially on FanDuel, you really want that quality start and those 6 innings, whereas DraftKings, you don't get that. So if I'm going all the way up top, it's still Scherzer and Cole for me, but then also include Gaussman at 9.5 and then Fried at 9K if you have interest there. Break down those top 6 and how you'd rank them.
Yeah, up at the top, like you mentioned, you got Cole and Max are clear to me, are the just above everybody else. You don't really have to worry about pitch counts. Max, I think, is going to probably be the lesser owned of the two. I'm going to assume, especially on FanDuel, I think you're going to get Cole probably be the higher owned. So I do like Max a little bit, but I'm kind of interested in thinking about Chris Sale a little bit. I think that Boston bullpen's been taxed a little bit. I think, it's a big game for him. I think they may let Sale get closer to that 100 pitch mark than he's been recently. So Sale's kind of interesting for me. Rodon scares me. I just think that they're going to have him on a little bit of leash. I do like the fact that he's playing Pittsburgh, but for me, I think I'd rather just pay the extra 300 and go with Chris Sale at that point. Even though the matchup is a little better with Pittsburgh, I get it. But I just think Chris Sale has a better upside. You guys are talking about Gaussman. I'm a little concerned about Gaussman. He's had some shoulder fatigue, and I'm not sure about if I'm willing to go there. His strikeout's been down ever since the whole sticky stuff's kind of come out. He hasn't been over 95 pitches in his last. I mean, he's only been over 90 pitches as 3 of his last 7 starts, 91, 82, 94. He's had a high. His last 4 starts, he had a high of 7. I'm concerned about that. In Milwaukee, it's a decent lineup. I don't really like attacking Milwaukee. So for me, Gaussman and Rodon are 2 guys I'm really not interested at all. You talk about Max Fried. It's really hard for me to go after the Dodgers. But, you guys are talking like Mangone said, you want to look at some bats. There's really not much down here that is interesting. So like I said, I've been trying to build a team with one of these top pitchers, and I just keep landing on where I'm almost stacking one team and kind of mix and matching some cheaper bats, which I just really not a fan of that type build in the tournaments I'm in. Maybe if I was playing some cash games or smaller tournaments, I think that might be a better avenue to take. But yeah, I think you just pretty much, I'm not interested in Caprillion against the Tigers. He's had some rough sledding here recently. And then you're going to go all the way down to where, you could look at Steven Matz. But you look at his game log, he's been mid-20s kind of guy. I just think if Cole or Scherzer puts up a 60 spot, there's enough bats, and generally there's enough points to go around with the bats where you're still going to have one of those guys. They're going to have to hit a lower type end, bottom of a stack. And that's what I think we're going to have to find tonight is a stack we like, maybe 5 through 8, 5 through 9, bottom part of a lineup that we can get it fairly cheap, that we can pair up with somebody. And I think that's really what I'm going to have to do. And at this point, I can't say I'm in love with anything that I've fallen into yet. So, but I do know that I think I need to play either Cole, Max, or Sale on FanDuel.
That definitely makes sense. As far as Matz, I think he's more viable on FanDuel, where it's a $3,500 difference from him and Scherzer. Whereas on DraftKings, it's only like 1,600 from Garrett Cole. We talk about how the pricing's softer. The 8,000 goes a lot longer, or the 8,000 is a lot cheaper on FanDuel, where the 8,300. I just don't think you really need to go there on DraftKings. So definitely prefer him on FanDuel. Man, I'll go to you though. You were talking about going all the way down. I think if there's anyone else in the mids here that you want to mention, you can bring them up, but I think it's pretty much a dead zone too. I think you go all the way up to the guys we talked about, or there's two rookies down below in Joe Ryan and Jackson Kowar that really stand out. Joe Ryan, even more so than Kowar. Joe Ryan's making his major league debut, but he's had very nasty stuff in the minor leagues, about 35% strikeout rate, very good control, limits the walks a lot. And he gets this Cubs team that we like to pick on all year. So I really, really like Joe Ryan, but I think he's going to get ownership. 5K. If you want the bats, you absolutely can go to him and pair him with one of the top arms. And then Jackson Kowar, 5.2K. I think he's going to be a lot lower owned because I don't think people are just going to double punt pitching. And if they do go down, I think it's going to be Ryan. Kowar has more walks. His control isn't as good. Tougher matchup against Cleveland, but I think he's an interesting pivot down there in the cheap range. His strikeout stuff's still there. He's not making his major league debut. He's had a couple outings, but I think he's interesting at 5.2 as well. Anyone in the mid tier for you, or are you just looking at those two down below? Talk about them.
No, I'm going all the way down, and I'm going to Mr. Joe Ryan. We like to target the Cubs, so that's good. And he's one kid that I watched. I was happening to be watching the Twins broadcast, right? And he was in the Nelson Cruz trade, right? And
right.
So typically I don't like to target a guy that got traded from the Rays because the Rays win a lot of trades, but I don't know. It's hard to win a trade when you get Nelson Cruz, right? Like you did that for the push. Like they had to give up something decent. And I heard him talking and he basically said like he was having lunch like with one of like the other like, Tampa Bay guys. And he basically said like, when they found out the Rays made a trade for Cruz and they didn't know who it was, he was like, it's probably one of us because they were one of the better prospects, right? Like he kind of knew like, oh, it's either me or you. Like, and then his phone rang and he's like, oh, it's me. He just knew it. So this kid's really good from everything I've seen and read. His dad also played in the majors too, I read. So I don't know. He seems like he's a good prospect. You mentioned the number, the 35% rate. The projection looks good. He gets to go up against some of these Cubs. And I don't know if we have the Cubs lineup out yet, but we know how it's bad all the time, right? It's not a great lineup. I'm definitely in on maybe going to a Mr. Ryan here. Now, the only reason maybe not to play Ryan is if you look at the slate, there's a lot of studs, right? A ton of guys that you can spend up on. But I do think a lot of people are going to look at that route. And if you do play that route of the double spend up pitcher, you know what happens with your construction? You fall on a path that maybe a lot of people end up going to, or maybe people don't do the double spend up and maybe then that's lower owned. So I think trying to figure out what path people are going is something I'm going to look at. But I currently think the best path is trying to pick whichever pitcher at the top, either Cole or Scherzer, is the right guy to go to, and then pairing it with the cheap one and then the offense that you want. Because listen, pitcher is great today, but there are some really, really good offenses on this slate that I just don't want to completely ignore. I mean, we'll get to it, but there's a lot of totals that are above 5 and some that are even above 6. This isn't a slate where you just have all these top end arms and then you just have no offense at all.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like you said, Toronto, they have the highest implied total on the slate again. And those offenses, like if you want to play Vlad, who's absolutely scorching right now, and those bats you have to pay for. So it definitely makes sense to go to the lower tier. Before I go to G Ryzen, 402 watching, 138 likes. We can go get those up a little bit. Hit the like and subscribe button for us, please, while we bring these winners and stay hot on this Wednesday afternoon. We'll go over to you, though, G Ryzen, because unfortunately, FanDuel doesn't have Joe Ryan in their player pool. They do have Jackson Kowar all the way down there at 5.5, but you really do want the quality start on FanDuel. So I don't have as much interest over there as I do on DraftKings. And like I said, nothing really stands out for me in this mid to lower tier range. Steven Matz at AK is the one that I think I have most confidence in if I am going there, but it's mainly a pay up for me on FanDuel. It's looking like, is there anyone else that catches your eye, G Ryzen, below Matz?
For as crazy as this may sound, I actually think that you could consider Logan Allen, and you could also consider Willie Peralta. I think Willie Peralta is a guy that, if you just want to get by at pitcher, you look at his last 4 game logs, he's got 20, 22 points, 20 points, 22, 21. you know what? Maybe you get lucky here and you fall into a quality start and a win. You can get in the mid 35s. He's only 6K. It's so tough, but it's very risky. Don't get me wrong, but I do think you're going to get a majority. Obviously on FanDuel, I think those 3 pitchers we already mentioned are probably going to be a good 70% of the pitching pool tonight. So with that being said, that's going to affect how the bats are being made. So there's going to be a lot of ownership on some pretty low end, price bats. So if you do choose in a high end, in a high field, excuse me, tournament with a lot of people, I think if you pay down on FanDuel for a guy like that and you get a 35 or 40 and you get lucky and Max or somebody only goes for 50s, and you get a team like the Blue Jays, or you stack the White Sox or somebody like that, and then they go off, you're gonna just pass by that gap, blow by that gap that you lost that pitcher with those bats that you were able to build, that most people tonight are not going to be able to do. So I'm kind of thinking that maybe just because I know what's going to happen with the pitching, that it may not be a bad idea to maybe pay down for a Jackson Kowar or maybe a Logan Allen or.
Can I stop us? We've gone too far. The chat agrees. They want to throw up, G-Rise, and you almost just threw up. I mean, we can't. We can't be playing Willie Peralta.
I just said if you're in a high field tournament, you're MME, and why would you play all the same pitchers that everybody else is going to play? You got to throw in some bats. I'm not talking about playing my one team or 2 or 3 teams. I said if you're in a large field tournament and you want to be way different, that of course nobody's going to play Willie Peralta, of course. But if he goes off for 35 or 40, what other guys down here are you going to have a chance like that for? So that's my point. It's like if you want to be different, that's the chance you got to take. And if it happens, it's a risk for sure. I mean, it's probably a low end. It's a high risk, but if it pays off and you're able to get those bats and you nail it, you're going to be. It's an instant print. So,
we can find a nice charity to send it to. Title. What's a nice charity that you know of? I don't know.
My Venmo.
Your Venmo. There you go. So the Title will find a better way to spend that money, G-Rise. And I don't know. I get what you're trying to do, right? You're trying to find a different path. I think you'd rather it's so loaded at pitcher. It's not like there's just one guy that's going to be like 60 or 70%. Oh, like just go to a Rodon, right? I see some people talking about him in the chat. I get why you're saying it because if those big bats could go off, but it's FanDuel. Like you can always find a way to jam it in and make it happen.
Our boy Clint in the chat goes, is this a Modelo talking? It might be the Modelo talking a little. I know what you're saying. I think I'd rather go. I mean, I know I'd rather go Kowar because we'll get to the bats, but I like picking on Willie Peralta. I even have interest.
I'm tempted to play Willie Peralta now on my main team so I can screenshot all you bums.
At least don't put it on the core plays. Don't put that on the core plays. If you want to put it on your own and donate, go ahead. But don't do that on the course. Don't do that to the people.
For some reason, I can hear Big T yelling, "That's right, G-Rise, that's what you do." I can, for some reason, hear him saying that. I'm just saying, if you're MME and you want to win a big field tournament, I mean, that's just a route to go. I mean, it's hard enough to win those, but I think if you hit that, you got a better chance than that.
I have my money on Big T if he was on the premium show. I have my money on him saying, "Why is he in this core? Restart your core, G-Rise, and come back tomorrow or whatever. Come back and fix it."
He might.
Yeah, well, all right, G-Rise, and give your top 3 pitchers. Don't include those 2. If you have them in your cores, people will see it. If you do ship with it, I expect you to rub it in all of our faces. But I'm not even going to let you put them in your top 3. Rank it on FanDuel.
My top pitcher is Cole. I think I'm going to go Chris Sale too at this point. I'm going to go Max. I think Sale is going to be the lower owned of the 3. So depending on ownership and price, I think it's going to be Cole, Sale, and Max for me. So I may even go Sale in majority of my single entry tournament teams just to try to be a little bit different, but I do think they may push him a little bit more tonight than they have been in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I Sale, if you think he does get pushed, which he very well could be. I mean, that's the only really concern I've had. He's been so dominant. Obviously, I don't love picking on this Tampa team, but his ownership's definitely going to be significantly less than Scherzer and Cole. So I definitely do agree with you on that. Man, go and give your top 3 pitchers on DraftKings in tournaments. Because, there's a lot of them with the lower tier, upper tier. I know you'll be pairing one up, one down, but give your rankings.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really simple for me. I'm going with Max Scherzer, Garrett Cole, like they're 1A, 1B. And then I'm going to go with Mr. Ryan as my number 3 option. That's the guy I'm going with. And we got Big T in the chat. He said, woo, or say who, sorry. He did the who gif, right? So yeah, I think Big T is on board with me on this one.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I should have said. Yeah. G Ryzen, I knew he wouldn't be on your side on this one, but hey, he's been on Luzardo. He's been on the Luzardo train. Maybe that's just like the Willie Peralta train.
I'd rather have Willie Peralta than Luzardo. So, you know,
I still actually think I might be Luzardo, but either way, I don't want either of them. I'll go to myself.
It's the wrong slate. It's just simple. It's the wrong slate to be doing that. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Top 3 pitchers for me. Yeah, I'm gonna go. I mean, obviously the Cole, Scherzer, Joe Ryan are the best 3 in tournaments. Though, I think I like Gausman more than you guys. I'm gonna have Gausman with one of the other 3 top guys, but 8.7K. I get a little ownership discount. I don't think people are gonna go to that dead zone. And yeah, it's mid 50s in San Francisco, so I'll go Gausman as one of mine in tournaments. I'll pair him with the top 2 guys, but clearly the best 3 arms. Cole, Scherzer, Joe Ryan, if you're playing cash games or you want to eat the chalk at pitcher. We'll go over to the hitters, though. 410 watching, 161 likes. We can definitely get a little more likes than that. Hit the like and subscribe button for us, please. Breaking down this Wednesday afternoon slate. We'll go over to hitting, though. First game on the slate. Lock does start 2 minutes after than it usually does at 7:07 Eastern. Just so you guys know that. Not a big deal, but 7:07 Eastern today. And we'll go right to Baltimore and Toronto. Toronto yesterday was a little letdown for sure, but Vlad absolutely scorching another homer. They have the highest total on the slate, and they're going to be owned a little bit. You have to pay for them, though, but that's where the lineups. If you do go Joe Ryan, I expect people to get some Toronto bats in. Man, I'll go to you. How do you like Baltimore and Toronto?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on like this part sucks and like this Blue Jays lineup, it's getting a little better, right? I mean, let's look at it today because I think it is improving, but I don't know. I've been staying off it, and I was talking with AP a little bit today and Big T JSU hoop, and like we're just talking about how like Vlad, he hit one the other day, went off the bat, right? And everyone thought it was out. Everyone's up out of their seats thinking it's gone. And it's just that humidor just keeps it in. And the lineup's getting better, right? Springer, Semien, Vlad Guerrero Jr., Bichette, Hernandez, Kirk, Dickerson, Gurriel, and Valera. And sure, if you want to play the Blue Jays, you can. I wouldn't say, hey, you're making a mistake, but I just think if I'm spending up at my offense, I prefer other offenses to spend on. I just don't think it's the best way to go. Now, Matt Harvey has been a little bit better. He's also had some of his struggles, right? I mean, Tampa Bay, he gave up some runs. He gave up a little bit, but he also kind of felt like he got the job done. He got 3 earned runs against Atlanta, gave up 4. Tampa gave up 5. So it's not like he's pitching amazing, but it's not like he's getting blown up. And I just don't think you need to go to the Blue Jays today. I think there's other offenses I would prefer to go to. And then I don't think I want to really target Steven Matz here either with the Blue Jay or with the Orioles. Again, this park just is not great for the hitting. And I think everyone is starting to turn around a little bit and realize that this Blue Jays offense isn't what everyone thought. And of course, you can make an argument like Hoop would say probably, right? The Blue Jays are going up against the Orioles. They have a bad bullpen. They can easily get there. And I agree, it could get there, but I just prefer other spots, I think. I wouldn't talk someone off at title, but as someone who builds kind of one lineup, I don't think they're going to be the team I go to. Now, if I was playing like 10 or even maybe 5, maybe I'd sprinkle the stack in, but it's just not for me today.
No, I'm with you. I mean, you mentioned the park. It's definitely a pitcher's park. They have the humidor there as well. But I mean, you watch yesterday, first inning, Semien hit an absolute rope out to the warning track. Vlad hit one to the warning track, and both of them were going to be gone in a lot of parks. The ball just completely died, it looked like. So I'm with you. I don't like it, the park at all. There are some other better spots. And then Matt Harvey, like you said, he definitely has been a little better, but he's a lot worse against lefties than he is righties. But this Toronto team is just so righty heavy, where I'd rather target Harvey against a lot of lefties in the lineup. So Corey Dickerson, 3-2, he's in the 7 hole. Wish he was a little higher in the order, but that'll keep his ownership down a little more. I think he would be my favorite. And you compare him if you are going the Scherzer and Cole route, 3-2 doesn't break the bank. So I think he's my favorite at 3.2K. I'll go over to you, G Ryzen. How do you see Toronto and Baltimore?
Yeah, Harvey's been frustrating for me. I seem to stack against him quite a bit, and it just never seems to really work out for me, and it's just so aggravating. But you're right about the park. It's just hasn't really been that that fruitful for us. Hasn't really been putting too many people in the winner circle when you've been stacking up the Jays or anybody else there. So yeah, I'm going to be off the Jays. I'm going to let everybody else play the Jays. Even though it's against the Orioles, you know, if it was in a different park or anywhere else but Toronto, I'd probably be all over them. But if you do look at that Toronto lineup, you got Kirk hitting in that 6th spot, which I think at 2,100 on FanDuel is a really good play. You're going to have Dickerson 2,600. So I'm going to expect if some people are going to play Toronto, you're going to have quite a bit of probably Dickerson and Kirk going to be included. But I mean, some of these pricing on these, they're all close to 4K, you know, their first 5, with Vladdy being 4.4, but FanDuel's finally priced up. That's what's kind of making this slate tough. So yeah, if you're going to stack them up, you know, you're going to have to play Willie Peralta. I don't know what to tell you. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. And I did say MME, you know, 150. So you guys all giving me shit. I mean, I said MME, whatever. I throw $4 out the window anyway at doing dumb shit. So, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I just think this game here, you know, I generally do like to play the Orioles against lefties. So I can't say though that I really want to attack Steven Matz here, but I don't mind the Orioles in the spot like this against lefties, but I just don't like the park. So I'm going to stay away. I kind of agree with Mangone.
Yeah, all I will say is, I mean, if you MME, I mean, why burn a couple lineups with the Willie Peraltas and you can just get a little more exposure to one of the other guys, right? Right, G Rising?
That's
you get
it.
a couple.
That's it. Drop down from Vladdy Guerrero to Kirk and, you know, maybe, you know, save you 2,300 in one of your teams or whatever. I mean, that's what the thing is, you know, you spend all these optimizers and you got the Coles and Max and all these guys locked in, and it's like it's full of 6, 7, 8, 9 hitters. It's like, man, okay, I'm not all right. I maybe go elsewhere. So, but yeah, I'm not a fan of this game here for a high upside.
Yeah, we'll go over to the next game, Angels and the Yankees. And someone in chat asked earlier, can you play Garrett Cole and then one off Ohtani? And how I look at it is, I mean, you can, but I don't love that pairing because Garrett Cole's so expensive. Ohtani's so expensive. So you're just I'd rather one off someone cheaper or a smaller slate. Mangone, what are your thoughts on that before you get there? Because, I mean, Cole lets up some bombs. Ohtani can definitely hit a bomb, but their prices, you're just paying so much for that when you could be stacking other teams.
I guess my problem with it is, I think 1, it's the wrong slate. And 2, like, if I'm spending money on Ohtani and Cole, like, man, I'm playing some shitty guys in my stack. Like, my stack might be the 6, 7, 8, and 9 of, like, I don't know, a real bad team. So, like, for instance, if it's like a Jays or White Sox, like 6, 7, 8, 9 with like Ohtani, or like, I don't want that. That just sounds awful. So I just think you're wasting your salary when you need to spend it on some of your big boys in your stack. I mean, if you make something that you really like, if you could do it, but I think it's a really, really terrible idea.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you. But on a different slate, if it was a cheaper pitcher, that I don't mind taking a hitter against your pitcher one-off, but not on this slate. I do agree. I'll go over to you for this Yankees and Angels game, though. Yankees have a pretty good total, 5.5 it's sitting at. Going to be mainly a bullpen game for the Angels, it looks like. This Naughton guy, he's not going to be extended out. He's not going to go 6 innings or anything, but backed by a pretty bad Angels bullpen. And these Yankees are cheap. 3.4K, Luke Voit in the 4-hole. Higashika, I don't exactly know how to pronounce it, but 2.9K catcher. He's in the 6-hole. Then you got Rizzo, 3.9, who's still way too cheap. I don't know what DraftKings is doing. DJ LeMahieu lead off, 4.4K. Yankees are pretty cheap. I expect them to get some ownership. Guaranteed 9th inning at bats too. What are you doing with the Yankees?
Me or G Rising?
You, man, going.
All right. So let me talk about it here. I will say the one thing that's interesting about the Yankees here is, and I don't think maybe people don't realize it, right? Like, this game is technically at 4:00, right? Like, it's on the West Coast. So it's probably a little bit better weather, you would assume, in Los Angeles, I think. We talk about sometimes these like West Coast parks play a little bit better when you get the day game. So it technically is one of those day games. So that's kind of something that's nice and favorable. They have a really nice price tag over on DraftKings. I think the Yankees will have some popularity. You just got to kind of try to find a way to make it different. And Luke Voit is definitely a guy that I'm going to look at. I think he's one of the stronger plays on this slate. Really nice salary saver there. So, not going to ignore him. He's in that 4-hole. I don't call him by his real name. I call him Kyle H title, right?
Yeah.
He's a nice salary saver to help make some things work. Same with like Velasquez. Now, Velasquez isn't someone that I think is an amazing play, but sometimes you look at like a position, and as a cash game guy title, I think you can kind of give some good perspective on this, just like myself. That position isn't the best today, right? There's some options to like, right? Like you can make an argument, Bo Bichette at 5.5K. He's great, right? But like, do you want to play Wander Franco at 5-2 against Chris Sale? Do you want to play Corey Seager, lefty at 5-1? Do you want to play Ahmed Rosario, Mondesi, Crawford? The position just isn't great. And so kind of like pitcher, like I talked about, not that position is not great. If I am going to pay, I'm just going to pay all the way down. I'm not going to go all the way up. And I think a guy like Velasquez is a great guy within your Yankee stacks to go to that can help you save some salary and help you get those big boys at the pitcher spot. So I think going him is a great option. And, you know, they're loaded in the outfield, right? You can't ignore guys like Aaron Judge, Joey Gallo. You know, you don't have Stanton in there today, but it's definitely a loaded lineup. And overall, I think the Yankees are one of the better stacks on this slate.
Yeah, that's definitely a very good point. If you're paying up at double pitcher, you just want to full punt someone at shortstop, like you said, not the strongest position in a great lineup. I mean, you can do a lot worse than that. I do that occasionally in cash games as well. On DraftKings, yeah, it is important to note, though, with Voit and Rizzo in there, you only can play one of them, where on FanDuel, though, you can play both of them, one at first, one at utility. People might be scared of lefty for Rizzo, but I don't think they see Naughton too often. Someone in chat he said Cal Naughton Jr. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw the name Naughton as well. So that made me laugh. But G Rison, I'll go to you. How do you see the Yankees and Angels?
You know, like Mangone brought up the 4:07 start time. So I'm not interested in the Yankees at all. Actually, for one, you look at that lineup, 6 and below is not very good in my opinion. And then if you really look and dig into their stats, you look at daytime games, the Yankees are dead last in slugging in daytime games. They're second from last in OPS. They just don't hit well during the day. So
but G Rison, this isn't a daytime game technically for the Yankees. It's actually a 7:00 game, right? It feels like 7 for the Yankees. Am I wrong?
Which is the whole trick of the thing here, but it's 4:00 game with the sun that's up in the sky. So, and that sun's going to be beating in their face as the sun comes in and it goes down through the night. So I'm just not a fan of the Yankees here. I just don't like them during day games. I never have. I got laughed at a few times telling people that whenever they play during the day and that sun's shining in their face and when they're at home, they suck, which generally is the case. And I just don't like them during the day. So I just generally don't play them. I stick to my process and my theory, and I don't play the Yankees during the day. And I did notice that. I thought Angels 7:00. That's kind of odd. And I'm excited everybody's on them here. So I think that kind of makes the slate a little bit easier for me. And, you know, like I said, you don't have Stanton in the lineup. They're missing a couple bigger pieces. I just don't like, there's just too many things going on there that it's got me off them. So I'm going to let everybody else play the Yankees and I'm off.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how. I mean, they're going to get ownership. I don't think they're going to be crazy. This slate, I think, is going to be pretty spread out. But yeah, I mean, you were talking about the day game and the lights and all that, or the sun in your eyes. And then, yeah, Redmond said, what about the shadows? I don't know. I mean, that definitely could be a little concern. I don't know if you have something to add, Mangone. That stuff's so hard to predict, though. It's a good point, but I think it might be overthinking a little bit. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Mangone or G Rison?
Well, I don't overthink the fact they're still last in slugging in day games. They've played I
just meant the
day games, you know, throughout the season, and they're second from last OPS and last in slugging. We're talking about the Yankees. We're not talking about a mid-level team. We're talking about one of the teams with the most power on it. So I just, no thanks. I'm off.
And going any chat, like, have you incorporated shadows or thought about that at all, or just something that's kind of?
I mean, Vegas isn't worried about the shadows. Vegas has this total going from 7.5 to 8.5 since the open. It's trended nicely in the Yankees direction. I mean, if G Rison wants to take the under on the run total, I'm right here. I mean, we can make a little wager if he'd like to. Find a nice little line. I'll take the over. He takes the under on the Yankees run total, and we can call it a day.
You guys, is that a homer? Is that a homer bet you want to make?
I'm a Mets fan. This ain't no homer bet. I hate that team. There's one team in sports I hate the most. It's the Yankees. I hate that team.
Were you giving Holden shit about that or something the other day?
No, I mean,
Joey or somebody was talking about
Joey tries to say that I'm a homer and I root for only the good teams, but I'm a Mets fan. You can't do that. You can't say that someone who's a Mets fan that lived in the New York area and picked the Mets over the Yankees, roots for the homer team. When the Yankees, I was growing up, it was all Derek Jeter, Mariano Rivera.
Yeah, what's wrong with you? How could you not like that team?
Well, because I'm not a homer. I don't want to just go for I'm not a front runner. I don't want to go for that Yankees team. I went to Mike Piazza and the Mets instead, and I've endured some pain.
Like Scott Brocious. That guy hit a home run in the 9th inning, and I still love him for it.
Scott Brocious, that guy sounds like he's from the 1940s. I don't know who that is, so that's when I know. That's when I know it is time to move on. But we got, what do we got? 457 watching, 194 likes. We can do better than that. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button. We do appreciate it. And if you're not a member, RPS NFL 15 gets you 15% off your life subscription. And that's going to be ending next week. DC's back on the premium show. It looked like he was hiking the mountains, doing something fun. He was on vacation a little bit, but he's back today with Holden and JSU breaking it down to locks, see what pitchers and hitters he's on. And if you guys haven't got into to best ball, Underdog, Run Peer, use the promo code Run Peer. You get $25 deposit bonus, and that'll get you a free entry into the Millie Maker or 5 puppy ball drafts. I've been loving best ball. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm maxed out, but still was a lot of fun to draft. And if you haven't got there, gets you prepared for the NFL season. So make sure to check that out. We'll go over to the next game, though. Boston and Tampa Bay. Very low total. Pitchers Park. Chris Sale on the mound. And I just don't have any interest in this game at all. I think it's a clear move-on game, but I'll go to you, G. Risen. How do you see it?
Yeah, like I said, Chris Sale for me. I'm not interested in either of the bats here on either side. No, thanks.
Man, going.
So I was reminiscing on the old Mets teams, talking Edgardo Alfonso and Carlos Delgado. Remember the Mo Vaughn when they went for him, G. Risen?
I know Carlos Delgado. I know those names, but whatever G. Risen said was that dude can't be alive right now.
Scott Brocious, he said. Oh, Scott Brocious is alive.
Yeah, he's definitely alive. But what game were you talking about? I was reminiscing on the old time players. So what game are we on, Title?
We're on Tampa and Boston. I feel like you don't have interest in it, though, do you?
Yeah, I mean, they are great offenses, right? Of course, like you can always make an argument for them, but I know Boston's dealing with a little bit of COVID stuff, and you kind of get your lineup a little bit later. And I mean, Drew Rousman's not great, but I hate that park. I've never really been a fan of targeting that one. I mean, again, Vegas has it at 7.5 total. It's a pretty big slate. I don't think I need to do it on this one, so I'm gonna stay away. If you want to do like a one-off here and there, right? If you built like a 4-3-1 and like you want to play a Kyle Schwarber as a one-off, I wouldn't tell you not to. But again, I like to condense my hitting pool as best as I can, and I will not have any of these hitters in this game.
Yep, I'm with you. I mean, you can always do a one-off. There's power in the lineup, but it's a 9-game slate. I think it's better to go other way. We'll go to the next game, Oakland and Detroit, and I have interest in Oakland. I like picking on Willie Peralta. I like this Oakland lineup. G. Risen, I'll just go over to you first, though, because I assume it's going to be an easy stay-away game for you, and we can just have Mangone and I talk about it. Is that the case? Or
No, actually, I don't mind the Oakland bats. I mean, come on, I'm not stupid. But, I just said if you wanted an MME and you wanted a low pitcher, I mean, don't be afraid. But anyway, I don't mind the bottom part of this Oakland lineup. I mean, Peralta is pretty much a ground ball. He's like 55% ground ball. So you're going to need some guys to lift the ball in the air. I mean, you got the bottom of that lineup. Like I'd suggest playing a Sean Murphy. He's got a high fly ball lean. Chapman's got a high fly ball lean. And then you can get Jed Lowry pretty cheap at 10-5. But yeah, the only guy I probably down there I wouldn't really play is Kemp. I'm just not a fan of Kemp. I don't really like his upside, but I think there's some home runs here in this lineup. That's for sure. And then if you want to look at the Tiger side of it, I don't mind the lefties against Caprillion. So, I mean, you got Baddoo back. He's hitting leadoff. I don't mind him. You might be able to look at a little Robbie Grossman, Candelario. The Tigers are pretty far down the stack list for me, but the wind is blowing out here. It's kind of like it's been a really nice day here. It's hitting weather. I heard the wind's going to be blowing out to right center about 14 miles an hour. So definitely some hitting conditions. I think there could be some runs here. It's got one of the highest over-unders totals on the slate. So yeah, I think there could be some home runs had here. But like I said, if I was looking into any of these bottom half of these A's, I might start off with like a Chapman and then maybe throw in Lowry, Kanaha, and then maybe go do a Murphy. So you'd have a 4, 5, 6, 8 stack. I don't mind that at all, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Oakland. They're my favorite stack on the slate, actually. They're guaranteed the 9th inning at bats. You talked about the pretty good hitting weather. And I mean, they just got power and fly balls in this lineup. Matt Chapman, 5.1K. Absolutely love him. Josh Harrison's leading off 3.9K. I like Sean Murphy. He's in the 8 hole, which might keep his ownership down a little bit. 3.7K like him. Canna, as you mentioned, 4.2K. Pretty much the only one. I mean, Starling Marte, 5.9K. I mean, I don't know if I can get there. If you're going all the way down, he's going to be pretty low owned. So I don't hate it, but he'd be my least favorite with the price. I like Matt Olson a lot, 5.7. I definitely have a lot of interest in this Oakland team. My favorite stack on the board. Man, going out. Oh, and for Detroit, Akil Baddoo, he's back in the leadoff hole, 3.3K only. I think he's fine as a one-off. He's a good player. 3.3K is too cheap, so I'm fine with him. Man, going, how do you see Detroit and Oakland?
Yeah, I mean, Oakland's fine. I'm going back and forth on how to handle them because I think they're a good play and I think they have some good salaries around the industry. My question is, like, let's say on FanDuel, because I think you're talking FanDuel specifically of why you like Oakland a lot. I mean, their price tags are really, really cheap on some of these guys.
I was talking FanDuel or DraftKings, actually. Like, I like these expensive bets, and hopefully people go Yankees and other stuff. I like picking on Willie Peralta, guaranteed 9th inning at bats. FanDuel, yeah, they'll probably be more popular because of the cheap bets, though. But I just like Oakland in general.
Yeah, I mean, when you get like Jed Lowry, right, in the 5 hole at like 2.5 at like a tougher position, when you get like Josh Harrison, also like those guys, I expect to get some type of ownership. So on FanDuel, like if you play like the A's and you play like a top end pitcher, like don't think you're being sneaky, right? Like you got to find a way to either make that somehow different or make the other stack different, right? You know, just don't slam in like the next chalk stack with it. And if you do, you better just play bottom of the order guys or something. So that's something I'll think about. I think the A's are fine. They're a team I'm considering. I just want to be cautious of when I play them with the top and arm, how am I stacking them up, and actually think about it a little bit. Like Hoops talked about it a ton. You know, you can play the Red Sox and play Bobby Dahlback and some of those bottom of the order guys, but I'm going to think about it a little bit when I decide to play them or not. Because again, it's not the easiest slate to get them in. There's an offense in a little bit that I might like a little more that I think could be interesting. And I think on maybe DK, they might get a little more ownership, but on FanDuel, I don't know if they're going to get as much.
All right, yeah, we'll go to the next game. The White Sox, man, going, and Pittsburgh. White Sox are one of these teams that have a good total. Kranick is no good at all. I like picking on him. I think this is a very good bounce back spot for the White Sox. Luis Robert, as you like to say it. And I'll let you, I mean, you were on the show yesterday. You had a lot of fire pre-show about Robert, G. Rison saying Robert and all that. I want to hear that fire as well. Let the people know what it actually is. And then talk about this White Sox team because Kranick is no good, high total. I think the White Sox are in a very good spot and have some cheap bats in this order. So talk about how you pronounce Robert and then talk about this game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Luis Robert, right? If Luis Robert goes out to the club in Miami, Luis Robert is not hitting the bench. But you know who is hitting the bench? Luis Robert. That guy is getting it done. Also, there's a YouTube video of him literally saying it, and it's like kind of a mix of in between of Robert and Robert. But I'll tell you, it's not Robert. He doesn't call himself Luis Robert. This is not true. So there's definitely a little bit of rolling going on there, and that's what we're going to call him. I know someone else getting on me for pronouncing the Rays pitcher wrong, but I mean, Rousman, I don't know what it is, but
that's all right.
Anyway. So this is a really good bounce back spot for the White Sox, right? The problem is they definitely have some decent price tags around, in the industry here. Like FanDuel, they're priced up. Grandal is kind of cheaper over on FanDuel. It's worth kind of mentioning the price tags on these guys. On DK, you get some cheaper prices as well. Gavin Sheets is one of those bottom of the order guys. Like I don't like playing Leury Garcia and Cesar Hernandez. Now you could talk me into playing Leury Garcia or Cesar Hernandez if they were like 2K, but they're not, right? Do I really want to spend 3-3 on Leury Garcia and Cesar Hernandez? No thanks. I think Gavin Sheets is an interesting punt though on a site like a FanDuel at 2.1K. It's just unfortunate that you have to play him at that catcher first base position. Because if I want to play him and I want to play Grandal as a good value, well, I can't play Jose Abreu, right? So there are the way the positions are on FanDuel, you kind of can't play everything with the White Sox if you want to kind of take one of those values. And then you got Jimenez, you got Robert, you got Moncada. I mean, it's a loaded lineup for the White Sox, and you can't just jam them in with all these top end arms. So The one thing I like about this slate is offenses like the Jays, offenses like the White Sox. If you want to play them, you just can't slam in those really good pitchers. So you kind of have to make some decisions on this slate. White Sox are a good option. I'm definitely looking to get them. And I'd say if you tell me White Sox or Jays, I lean the White Sox over the Jays.
Yep. I think I do agree with you on that. I like the White Sox more than the Blue Jays. Well, I'll go over to you, G Rising, but first, Holden, what? He said 0% chance title knows who Bo Jackson is, and Mr. TRG Rising. Is he really comparing Bo Jackson and Mr. T to whatever guy you just said up until Scambrocious? Or come on,
yeah. I mean, Mr. T's. I mean, come on. We know Title had a Mr. T wrestling doll. I mean, he was probably banging them off, Bo Jackson's baseball card or something. He knows who they are. I mean, if we said Hannibal Smith, I don't know who that is.
But why is he comparing Scott Brocious to now that I keep saying it more, and maybe I've heard the name once or twice. I still don't think so. But why is he comparing Scott Brocious to Bo Jackson? Come on, Holden. You're better. You're better than that.
Sex wasn't involved somehow, but
that's an improvement.
Go back about Robert. The only thing I'll give you the fact that they call him Robert, and they do say it on the White Sox broadcast. You would think that somebody on the team or something has at least communicated with that at least some point by September 1st. But anyway, that's like, the argument Mangone makes, that's like saying Target and Tarjay. So we know what Mangone says when he goes to Target, he's going to Tarjay. So, it is what it is. But either way, Robert, he's a damn beast. The dude's just been smashing the ball. I've been impressed watching him recently with his play in the outfield. I mean, the guy's making diving catches, and he's been all over the field. I think that guy he's another good talent that MLB has. But you talk about this game here. This Kranick guy is in over his head against the White Sox, but I do like the lineup here with Grandel. You can get some good win. Mangone mentioned Sheets. So, you could possibly have a Sheets, bounce it back with Robert, maybe throw in like an Abreu and then skip down to Grandel. You're going to have your two high price guys. You're going to have a 2,100 price guy that you might be able to throw in with like maybe another stack that you can get in the middle of the lineup. And I think that's going to be probably the construction I'm going to end up with today, paying for these high price pitchers. But I really do like the White Sox here. Like you said, I think it's a great bounce back spot. Actually, the wind's blowing out pretty heavy out to right center. It's 12 or 13 miles an hour. So I do like the hitting conditions. But yeah, I do like Grandel. Actually is one of my favorite plays today. So yeah, I definitely like the White Sox.
Yep, I definitely do agree. I mean, we got chat rolling. They're to listen 80s Brewers guys. It looks like G Rising. If you don't have YouTube chat up, pull it up. You'll enjoy probably seeing some of these.
I'm watching it, and I know every one of these damn guys they're bringing up. But Uncle T's pulling out dudes out of his ass from like 1960 and stuff. It's all right, Uncle T, you go. But hey, I was always one to play the dice baseball games when I was little, the APBA games, all that stuff, all the video games. So it was like I have always known like who's in everybody's lineup. So it's like you reminisce and you hear all these guys. Yeah, it's just funny. It just makes me realize how stinking old I am. That's all. Holden's still trying to compare that Scott Brocious and Bo Jackson are in the same category of people knowing them. They had the same amount of career home runs. Well, Brocious has more rings than Bo Jackson.
Yeah, but that's not how in people knowing each other. They're not in the. Come on, Bo Jackson, one of the best athletes there is.
So a good. I don't know if this is a great example of this, but like I'll tell you this: the guy, who will be talked up as like more of like a legend. Maybe when we get like 20, 30 years from now, Tim Tebow will be talked up than more of like some of these like quarterbacks, like Bobby even over like Matt Ryan of all people, right? And I know it sounds crazy, but Tim Tebow's like a football legend, like in a way. You know what I mean? Like Bo Jackson was an icon, right? Scott Brocious wasn't an icon.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a fact.
That's what, yeah, come on, Holden. We're not comparing. It's who I know. And then someone saying, do you know Chipper Jones and all that? I mean, you guys are making me feel young, but someone said Derek Jeter and all that. I mean, I'm young, but I know Chipper Jones, Derek Jeter. Come on, guys. You're better than that. But
hey, okay, if we go hip, hip, what's next?
Hip, hip.
Yep.
I don't know nicknames. You got to give me the real
name.
Oh
man, no, that's a tough one. Yeah, I mean, maybe because I'm from the New York area.
What is it? What is it?
Hip hip hooray!
Hip hip hooray!
Well, I know hip hip hooray, but I thought it was like a person's name.
Yeah, it's hip hip hooray, like instead of hooray, hooray.
Yeah, I thought you said No, I don't.
So good. Hold it. Hey, Title, you just be young, man, because we're all fucking jealous. We want to be young. We get out of bed and our bones hurt. So you just keep being you, man.
You guys are making me feel good, actually. Chad, I appreciate it. Chad is making me feel good. Not recognize a lot of these names, but Jorge, I was gonna say Hooray, but I'm like, that's not a name. Anyway, Chat's making me laugh. Off track a little bit, but we got time. We still got a decent amount of games, a couple of games left, but we'll go to the next one. First of all, 480 watching, 214 likes. You can hit the like button, please. Hit the subscribe. We do appreciate it.
Sean Chambers. Title, do you know who Lorena Bobbitt is?
No. I don't.
Sean, that's awesome. That's funny. That's a guy she cut her dick off her husband. So that was big in the news a few years back when we were,
you holding that guy.
Holden knows who that is, I guarantee.
You holding that guy and maybe two others might have known that. Maybe everyone but me. I don't know. Anyway, we're moving on, going back to baseball, talking the slate. Cleveland and Kansas City. And I got some interest in Kansas City against Logan Allen. I know you don't, G Rison, but you get cheap bats. I mean, Michael A. Taylor in the 5-hole, 2.4K, Carlos Santana, 2.6K, Whit Merrifield, 5K. Sal Perez is all the way up there at 6.2K, but man, he is on an absolute heater. He's cheaper on FanDuel. I believe he's 3.4K, so I like him over there, even at catcher and first base eligible. But I like the idea of jamming in Sal Perez and stacking some of these KC bats, especially with the punt down there at pitcher. I'll go over to you, man. Going, how do you like Kansas City and Cleveland?
Yeah, it's a tough game to go to, right? I don't love that Royals ballpark, and I just don't feel like I need to go to any of these teams. I know the Royals have been hitting a little bit better, and Logan Allen's nothing special, but I don't know. It's just not a spot I look like I'm going today. Like, the problem with the Royals is, like, if you want to play these guys, Title, Sal Perez, 6.2K. Like, Whit Merrifield, 5K. I mean, those are some really tough price tags to pay for. And that's kind of one of the struggles. Like, if I want to play the Indians, do I want to spend 6.4 for Jose Ramirez and 5.5 for Franmil Reyes?
When they double dong, it doesn't matter. Then you get them at 2% because no one wants to play him, right? Just like Story a couple nights ago.
Yeah, I mean, if they do that, like, you're made in the shade. You're gonna crush. If you want to go that route, you can. If I am playing those guys, I'm probably like doing the full-on stack because I'm like mixing in, the cheap bats to be able to make it work. But I just don't see myself going there today. I think that's just kind of where I'm at. Maybe someone else is better take. Maybe G Rison has something for me, but I just can't see myself going there today.
No, that's fair. That's one of the lower owned teams. I don't think they get too much. That's one of my lower owned teams I am going to mix in. I'll go over to you, G Rison. How do you like this game? I know you said some interest in Allen, so not too many bets.
I actually think this game's better for like a mini stack or one-offs. Salvador Perez, I mean, he's only 3.4 on FanDuel. You guys are saying how expensive he is on DK. Yeah. That's just, he's underpriced on FanDuel for the matchup he has today. He's a very good one-off for today. I do like that. I just stacking up the rest of the Royals here, especially in that park. The wind's blowing in too, like 10 miles an hour across the field. So that kind of makes it a little bit more scary. But some of these Indians bats too, I might look at, like Ahmed Rosario has just been absolutely blistering the ball. I think he's almost hit close to 400 last month. So he's another guy. He's only 3.2 hitting second. I don't mind him as a one-off either against Coar. So I think if I had to, I do like some Royals, but I think I'd mini stack it. I think I might just go with Perez. They brought Mondesi back too, and they put him in the 7-hole. I don't like him down there, but did stretch this lineup out a little bit more. So, but I just don't like the park. I'm with Mangone. I think it does have some potential. So maybe if you're MMEN, you might want to stack up both sides, maybe throw, I mean, neither one of these pitchers are lights out pitchers. I get it that they're being talked about on lower end, like a second SP2 on DK, but I think if you're MMEN, I wouldn't argue with either side really here. But I do favor the Royals if I had to choose one.
All right, going on to the next game, Chicago and Minnesota. And yeah, I mean, I don't think people aren't going to be on Chicago. They never really are anymore. But Minnesota might get a little ownership going against Steele. And the reason, I mean, their prices. Byron Buxton's still 3.4K. I expect him to be one of the chalkiest guys on the slate again. That's just a misprice. Batting leadoff. Then you got Donaldson, Jorge Polanco, 4K, 4.3. those are the most expensive guys in this lineup. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys that are 3K or below. Jeffers at catcher, which I think is a fine play, 7K or batting 7, 2.9K. I think that's fine if you want to save money there. Rooker, full punt, and Andrelton Simmons down there at shortstop that we have mentioned. Willens, Estido, first base and third base eligible, 2.2K. So I think the Twins might get a little ownership. I think they're fine for salary spot savers. I just don't love the spot today. There's a couple other spots I like more. So I'm fine if you want a one-off mini stack, cheap bats here, but I don't have too much interest in full stacking. Mangone, I'll go to you. How do you like Minnesota and Chicago?
Yeah, I kind of like the twin side a little bit. I think they're worth taking some shots on. I mean, if you look at this lineup today and like how cheap it is, they definitely have some opportunity here. Now, of course, some of these guys are going to get owned on like DK, but like you can find ways to mix and match it and kind of get it like lower owned, right? Like Rob Refsnyder in the 3-hole. That's Big T's boy. I'm sure he'll have some exposure to him, but he gets a lefty and he gets this bad Cubs team where that bullpen can go out there and be really bad. You get like everyone looking at first base, right? People aren't looking at Miguel Sano, and we know when Sano can get going, he can absolutely crush the ball, and he gets a lefty. It's a good park, for him. So I think Sano is definitely someone to look at here. Look at the last 4 games, 22.4, 25.2, 0, and then 9. He actually got a stolen base yesterday, which was very odd to see Miguel Sano steal a base. But I think overall, a guy like Sano has a ton of power and pop. I think he's really good. I think Rooker is a really good way to mix and match your lineups. And Buxton, Polanco, Donaldson. I mean, Donaldson has been on a bit of a heater here, and now he gets a lefty. I mean, I think he homered in 5 of his last 11 games he might have a home run in. And even Buxton, he'll eventually get going here. I know DK will be a little bit higher home, but overall, I think this is a pretty good spot for the Twins. Instead of the A's, if the Twins get less ownership, I'm going to look to go to them, I think, instead of the Oakland Athletics.
Yeah, I mean, they are different prices. Oakland's mainly kind of priced up. Minnesota's kind of down. So I think you can kind of like pair them together. I don't know. They're just so cheap. So I think they'll be mixed in with the higher price stack.
I think it depends the site you're looking at, Title. Like I think the A's get more ownership than the Twins. And then I think you could see vice versa on DK. So it just depends. But I think there's some really good price tags on these guys. Like if you played like a Refsnyder and a Rooker in the outfield or on the outfield, like outfield is completely loaded today at the top, where I don't think you're going to see a lot of people do that. I think you might see some people try and spend down at some other positions and then maybe spend up more in the outfield because it is a loaded outfield.
Yeah. Refsnyder, 2.3K in the 3-hole. I think ownership is going to be pretty spread out in the outfield today. I wouldn't worry about it too much besides like individual bats. Byron Buxton's going to be one of the most popular. So we know he will, but people aren't going to be full stack in Minnesota. If you want a full stack Minnesota, you like them, don't worry about the ownership. I wouldn't really worry about it on any team today. Pitching will be pretty spread out. I mean, there's a couple guys, but you have the options down below. You have Cole, you have Scherzer. So I wouldn't worry too much about ownership today. Go over to UG Ryzen. How do you see Minnesota and Chicago?
Yeah, actually, Minnesota is one of my favorite teams today. The Cubs have been struggling here recently. They're giving up. They're in like the top 5 for runs given up in the last few weeks. So I mean, they're just not been very good here with their bullpen. And I really like this Minnesota lineup, especially. I mean, you can have Buxton, Polanco, Refsnyder, and then you can go Sano. If you want to even bounce down to Rooker, throw in Donaldson. I think there's just different ways you can mix and match this lineup. Almost go all the way. I'm willing to go to actually the 7 spot. I'm not interested in Simmons or Willens, Stillo, or whatever how you say his name, but I really think Byron Buxton is going to be high owned, like you mentioned. He's 3,700 on FanDuel, but
it'll be lower. It'll be lower owned over there for sure. That's a site dependent mistake. DraftKings still hasn't done anything.
I actually think he might get some ownership here. You look across and like Patrick Wisdom is priced higher than him. There's a lot of high priced bats that are going to be higher than Buxton. And I think for the upside you can get with Buxton at the price he's at, especially him hitting leadoff in the spot he's in. I think Buxton is an excellent play today. I really like him. And if you start your stack with 1, 2, 3 of the Twins, you can, throw in a Rooker or maybe even a Sano. Like I said, I think that's a reasonably priced stack. I really do like that to pair up with the high price pitcher. So the Twins for me actually are my favorite, especially because of price. But yeah, you got to me. I mean, you can't have a Twin stack without Polanco, and I think you pretty much got to throw in Buxton. So Yeah, for me though, the Twins are in a great spot and definitely not interested in any of those Cubby bats.
Yeah, no Cubs for me too. Feel like that'll be a common theme the rest of the year with them. But we have 2 games left, 2 games that for me at least I don't really have interest in. But we have 440 watching, 225 likes. You guys are doing good. We appreciate that. If you guys could get to 250, that would be awesome. But I mean, hey, we're not going to hold you hostage for the plays or any of that. We're just hanging out, having fun, talking baseball from 1940s. Maybe there might have been names thrown out there. It's a 2021. So it's a good Wednesday. Chat, we love you. Keeping up with us, making it fun. We'll go to the next game, though. Milwaukee, San Francisco, a game. I mean, I like Gossman a little bit. Brett Anderson is not good. That's for sure. But the thing is, he's a ground ball pitcher that's in San Fran. It's mid 50s degrees. I just don't think I'm going to get to the Giants on this slate. I don't think it's the worst idea, but I mean, Brewers are backed by a good bullpen, ground ball pitcher. Like I said, 50 degrees. It's just not for me, but I think there could be a case for him. G Rison, I'll go to you. Giants or Brewers love?
Yeah, no love for me here for either of these teams. Like you said, kind of cold, over under 7.5. Gossman's decent pitcher. And the Brewers bullpen. I'm not going to go there, even though both offenses are generally offenses I do like to play. But I just don't think it's the right spot tonight.
Yep, I'm with you. Mangone?
Yeah, I mean, you talked about Anderson a little bit, and why play the Giants when there's so many ways that this can go wrong? On top of that, like, your guy could get pulled, right? Like, because, the Giants, they like to do that. They like to switch things up. So I'm with you, Title. I think we just stay away from this game completely. There's enough on this slate. No need for me to play anyone there.
Yep, 3 for 3 and going to the next game. I think it's pretty much the same for me. Obviously, I'm not picking on Scherzer at all. If you want to one-off Hunt to Dong, because Scherzer lets up some homers there and there. There's power. Jorge Soler, 3.7. Jock had a bomb yesterday, revenge game, 2.8K. I don't hate it. I don't think it's the worst idea if you're not playing Scherzer, but I'm not going to go to anyone in this game. Dodgers on the other side against Fried. We mentioned other offenses I like more, so I'm not going to really be touching it. Mangone, what about you?
Yeah, I'm not super interested in this game, but I will say that the Dodgers, they can go off at any time. I don't want to completely ignore them. Mookie Betts has been locked in at the plate. Like I even said yesterday on the premium show, when I jumped on at the end, I said, like, listen, Mookie Betts, like, the dude has just been absolutely crushing the ball. If I played someone from this game, I would probably play Mookie against Charlie Morton. I think he could actually go off on him. And then he did. He hit a home run. So I wouldn't sleep on Mookie as like a random one-off. I think he's a pretty good play. But, I mean, it's Max Fried. He's not a great lefty. But overall, I don't want to play this game too much. Dodgers, they have power, but I don't think I need to go there too much today.
Were you on the Mookie Betts narrative? Did you hear about that before, that his mom was throwing out the first pitch and of course he homered? Because I missed that whole news, and your narrative streak guy, I think it was 2 nights ago, I believe.
Yeah,
were you on that train?
Bobblehead night too, Title.
Bobblehead, yeah.
Bobblehead night. It was everything. Mookie definitely treated me well, and he just looked good at the plate. It felt like every at bat, he either had like a foul home run or he was fouling him off and just battling. I mean, he just looks really locked in at the plate right now. And Mookie Betts, I mean, we forget there's so many good players, and Mookie's been a little quiet this year and hurt. Mookie's one of the best out there. So when he gets locked in, you can just play him almost any time.
Yeah, no, definitely. Dodgers are always lower owned most times, usually because their lineup comes out later on the West Coast. But G Rison, go to you. Any interest in this game?
No, actually, before we got on here today, I actually made a buy bet on the under 3.5 runs in the first 5 innings of that game. So, yeah, I don't have any interest here. I just like the way Max has been throwing. He seems to be rejuvenated going out there to LA. And I mean, how can you blame him? And I think generally when you get a spot like this, where you get a guy like Max, who's like a B+ type pitcher going against an A+ pitcher, it generally turns into a type pitcher's duel, and usually the B+ steps up, and I kind of like that kind of mix of pitchers. So generally, I would like to play a guy like Max Fried, because I generally feel as if those type guys step up in situations like that. But I mean, it's kind of hard to obviously pick on the Dodgers, but yeah, I'm not interested in any bats. But Max for me is definitely going to be in my player pool.
We'll go over to the favorite stacks of the day. I'll go first. I'm going to say Oakland 1, White Sox 2. That's really close. I know White Sox, I expect to get maybe a little more ownership, but White Sox and A's are my two favorites. And then I'm going to go with the Royals for a lower ownership. I think they'll be low owned. I'm not going to leave out. I'll overspend for Sal Perez at catcher. And that'll be one of my my cheap pitcher routes when I don't double spend up. I'll go a cheap pitcher. I'll get some Royals, and Sal Perez will be a staple in those. Go over to you, G. Risen. What are your three favorite stacks?
For me, I have 1A Minnesota, 1B White Sox, and then my third stack that I'm looking at, I'm going to go Oakland.
Man, going top three favorite stacks.
Yeah, man, it's a loaded slate. I'm gonna say White Sox. White Sox are 1, Yankees 2, and let's go with the Twins at 3 because I need a bit of a value stack. It'd be like either the Twins or the A's. I'm fine with either, but that's kind of where I'm at right now.
All right, we'll go into the plays of the day, the likes. Yep, you guys did good on likes. 233 likes. We appreciate it. Heading over to the plays of the day. Hopefully they can stay hot. I'll go to you first, G. Risen. Up in smoke, play of the day. Don't say Willie Peralta. I'm not letting that happen. Who do you got for us?
The play of the day is going to be the guy that we spoke about quite a bit, and it's going to be Lewis Robert / Robert. So that is my boy.
Lewis Robert Robert. It's Robert. I'm going with man going on this one, but I'll go to myself for the SO play of the day. JSU's not on the show, so I think it'll fly. Man going, if not, you can let me know. But I don't think people are going to go all the way up and pay 6.2K for Sal Perez. I like the Royals. There's a lot of cheap, the Kyle H, as you call Mangone. He's cheap in the lineup for the Yankees. Jeffers is in the lineup. He's cheap. I think people are going to go down at catcher mainly. So I like going up and getting different, going Sal Perez. Is that okay, Mangone?
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay to overspend on a position to like get yourself unique. Like, I think that's perfectly fine. So you won't hear a disagreement from me here on this one title. I'm perfectly okay with it.
I like, yeah. I mean, 3-hole. I don't think Logan Allen's any good. Sal Perez has been really hot. He's going deep today. I'll go over to Mangone to close it out. We still got to come out with a play of the name, a good name for you for the play of the day. Dry hump, that doesn't cut it. Mangone doesn't dry hump. So I'll say a Robert play of the day. Give it to us.
I'll say this. I mean, the plays definitely have not been dry humbling. I've been on fire with them. Tellez killed it for me Sunday last time I was on. Before that, on Friday, we got AP home with Grandal, right? It took home the live final seat. Grandal smashed. So hopefully I can make this a good one. I'm going really low down on this one. It feels like one that I'm taking a bit of a shot on, but man, it feels kind of like a big T play a little bit here. I'm going Mr. Rooker, right? Brent, I think his name is, right? The young kid from Minnesota. He has some power and pop. He gets Justin Steele here, which, hey, it's a lefty. We know he hits those lefties well as a nice righty. So to make your twin stack different, go all the way down, save some salary. If you're going to play those expensive guys that you gave, I'm going to give Mr. Rooker as my play of the day.
I like it. There's a couple people said Mighty Mojo play of the day, the Mangone Bricked Up play of the day, Travis Rockets play of the day. Couple options, Mangone. You're going to have to think about that. But yeah, it was a fun show. We appreciate everyone hanging out with us. We have JSU, Holden, DC, bringing you up to lock. If you aren't a member, RPS NFL 15% off your monthly subscription for life. That will be ending soon. NFL right around the corner. Can't wait. We'll have a bunch of content for that. But thanks for hanging out with us. Good luck tonight, everybody. 4G Rising, Mangone myself, or Mangone, Titletown. Good luck.